We got so much news today. Even though it's a Saturday, it's a very busy news day. We got some good, huge news. We got ARK Invest selling more Tesla stock. We got Ford cutting its production due to low demand of their F-150 Lightning. And there's something really suspicious going on with another EV company. So let's go through all of the Tesla stock news. This is actually huge news. While a Tesla owner was at the Tesla service center, two Cybertrucks that Tesla had been testing in rough off-road conditions in Baja California arrived. And the owner mentioned that they told her the truck will be able to go 500 miles on a single charge. Now that's a mic drop moment right there. There's no way I'm dropping this one though. This one is over $1,000. But I am very happy about that. We still need to find out what the pricing is going to be, but this is looking good. It is also a sign, possibly, that the 4680 battery development and progress is actually pretty good, at least in terms of energy density. In the meantime though, ARK Invest sold a tiny little bit more Tesla stock. It looks like they want to get the allocation under 10%. Usually ARK Invest is a bit over 10%. But also maybe they just want to sell before the earnings because usually Tesla goes down right after earnings. Anyway, they only sold $3.3 million worth of Tesla stock. That's very, very little. Usually they sell 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, so this is almost nothing. This is so suspicious. Lucid still has not reported their Q3 production and deliveries for the past year. They have always reported them on the 12th or the 13th. Today is already the 14th. There's a theory that maybe the delivery number was so high that they had to triple count them because even they did not believe it. I of course don't think that's the case. I think the conversations look more like this. Don't forget the one on the other side of the building. Oh, you did them already? You sure? Maybe go back and check again. Because possibly a difference of just 2 cars could actually be really important. I mean, they have been delivering less and less vehicles each quarter, but the previous quarter only went down by 2 vehicles. So if they deliver 1,407 cars, that would be a new record this year. It would only be 1 car more than in Q1, but it would still be a record. Not their all-time record, but just a record this year. And here's some good news. We are now seeing the refresh Model 3s in Europe. Now we have pretty much all of the data from Europe, China, and everywhere else. And we can see that deliveries in Canada are pretty much flat. Deliveries in Europe are down slightly. And the same goes for China and the US. But in the rest of the world, deliveries were actually up a little bit. So I see everyone talking about this. Tesla Semi beat Freightliner, Volvo in this real world test. And it is because Tesla beat 22 other trucks. No other truck traveled as many miles as the Tesla Semi in this event, run on less. But there are some details that we didn't know about before. 60% of the trucking time included freight of over 70,000, close to the 82,000 pound limit, typical of the logistic industry. We knew about that before. But the Semi's average was significantly above the event's average. That's new information to me. However, data shows that the Semi could conveniently travel 400 miles on a charge and recharge to 80% in 45 minutes, which is really good because on average truckers drive about 400 to 600 miles a day. So 400 miles, that's the absolute minimum that we need to hit. And Tesla is hitting that number already. Tesla manufactured about 70 Semis in a year. So probably Tesla made more Cybertrucks than Semis so far. But we will enter mass production once this factory in Nevada is expanded, which we have been hearing some news about the expansion, so there's definitely progress that's being made. And this is absolutely crucial to understand that Tesla Semis become absolutely bonkers when you can charge while at a dock door. A typical drop-off takes about 45 to 90 minutes. You can easily get to 90% charge on an EV Semi while there's work being done in the trailer. And also, if you look at actually how far each shipment goes, it says here that freight shipments under 500 miles account for almost 80% of all domestic freight tonnage. And there are many routes, there are 100 miles, 200 miles, 250, 300 miles. So even though a trucker may drive on average 500 miles in a day, he will stop a few times. So when you take that into consideration, there's nothing really that we don't know technologically how to do yet. We know everything. We just need to build out the infrastructure now. And over time, the batteries will only improve, and the ranges will improve, and the charging speeds will improve. There's some more Cybertruck testing that's going on right now. And electric rice that the Tesla Cybertruck width is now revealed. How exactly do we know it? Well, someone found a Tesla Cybertruck release candidate and pulled out a measuring tape to figure out the actual width of the electric pickup truck ahead of the official spec and dimension release. When not a long time ago, I was renovating one of my properties, I actually also had a tape measure on me pretty much at all times. So if at that time I saw a Cybertruck, I would have pulled it out and measured it too. So the rear bumper is 72 inches, and at the back, the widest part should be around 78 inches. This would make the Cybertruck a bit less wide than other popular pickup trucks like the F-150, but I think some of these measurements are not exactly precise. The bumper measurement, as you saw, was precise. Other measurements may be off by an inch or 2 or 3. But it gives us a pretty good idea, I think. Personally, I am actually happy that it's a bit less wide than other pickup trucks, because if I drive it, it will mostly be in the city. So for me, it's great. And I think many people that will buy the Cybertruck will buy a pickup truck for the first time. So I think for them, that's a great thing too. Here's another win for Tesla. A Tesla owner who accused the company of improperly accessing and sharing video recorded from his car must pursue his privacy claims in an individual arbitration rather than a proposed class action lawsuit, a judge in California has ruled. We have seen a similar verdict as well from a judge, but that was about autopilot, not about this privacy issue. Tesla urges the Fifth Circuit to revive this direct sales ban challenge. Tesla has told the Fifth Circuit that car dealers in Louisiana have used the state's Motor Vehicle Commission to block direct sales by electric car makers because they view the business model as an existential threat. So Tesla is getting aggressive here, and I like it. This photo went viral in China, but I think it's a fake. Supposedly it's a refresh Model 3. For example, when you look at a Model Y, you can see a gap here. When you open the trunk, there's a gap. So that gap has to be here. And the gap is obviously visible, but not in this picture. There's a reflection here, but it doesn't look like a gap. It looks like a reflection, but you can see every gap very clearly everywhere. Also, the wheels. What is going on here? This Tesla vehicle is as much a Tesla vehicle as Gordon Johnson's opinions are his own about Tesla stock. That's just my opinion, of course. This is interesting. Is Tesla using its own batteries for this model as well? Based on EPA documents, new Model Y standard range rear-wheel drive in the US might not be using CATL LFP cells as I previously thought. It's unclear, says Troy. These batteries have slightly higher energy density and less weight than CATL LFP, but not as good as the Panasonic 2170 cells. And Troy also speculates that it possibly could be the Cyber cell, the new 4680 cell, but there are many other options too. I think the 4680 though should be reserved for the Cybertruck, but if they are using it for this model as well, it indicates that either the Cybertruck ramp is going to be slow, or that they think that 4680 production is going to be so good that there will be enough batteries for both the Cybertruck and this Model Y version. So this could be pretty good news. But for some time, we won't know for sure. The governor of a state where Tesla will build its new factory in Mexico will be visiting Tesla's Gigafactory in Shanghai during his Asia tour. He previously visited all other factories, so Fremont, Texas, and Berlin. Imagine the governor of California going to Germany and China just to look at Tesla's factories. That would show you some commitment. So I say this is good. Tesla is heading back to court over a $230 million legal fee request by a team of shareholder attorneys who recently won a settlement in a dispute in which Tesla's board of directors agreed to return $735 million in pay. Tesla refers to the fee as an unwarranted windfall that would translate into an exorbitant hourly rate of $10,690, making it one of the highest fee requests. Tesla wants to reduce the legal fees by about 3.5 times, and if Tesla succeeds in doing so, that's great news for us. There is an update about FSD in Europe. The DCAS regulation was expected to be voted on at the end of September, but unfortunately it did not happen. This means that FSD beta will likely not come to Europe, and other WP29 countries until January 2024. However, even if the regulation is positively voted on in January 2024, the next WP29 meeting will likely be too late to review the documents. This means that FSD beta will likely not be available in Europe until January 2025. Although it may be possible to achieve it earlier or accept a deviation from the deadlines, making June 2024 feasible. So I'm not expecting all that much here. I just want Tesla to improve full self-driving. If we make it much better, then regulation will, I think, mostly take care of itself. Tesla has just launched a developer API, and that's the first step towards building an app store. This is good. There's a lot of talk about these new wraps from Tesla and that they are overpriced, but actually the drive.com, they did some research to do some direct comparisons. They called 2 other independent wrap shops in California and basically told them what they want. In other words, they want the same thing that Tesla is doing, the exact same thing. Specifically for a clear PPF, these other shops actually charge more money. Now, when they asked the rep about the color films, they were told that they basically charge the same as Tesla. There are many different ways to wrap your car. There are different kinds of materials. Some are much more expensive, and Tesla does use the more expensive materials. So when you take everything into account, actually Tesla is not giving you a bad deal at all. It's not a crazy good deal, nothing like that, but it's a reasonable deal. We also have to remember that labor costs are higher in California, and these Tesla service centers are also in California, and these 2 independent shops that were compared to Tesla are also in California. So if you are outside of California, that's why these prices may sound a bit higher than normal. Here's an interesting comparison between a Toyota Camry hybrid, a Honda Accord hybrid, and a Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive. This is if you lease these vehicles for 36 months with a down payment of $4,500 and you want to drive them for 10,000 miles per year. The Model 3 is actually the cheapest option, but I don't really think that comparison is all that fair because you cannot buy the Model 3 at the end of your lease, but you can buy the Toyota or the Honda. This is quite interesting. These are Tesla superchargers by region. These are in North America, but there are now more superchargers in Asia Pacific than in North America. But in both regions, the superchargers are growing really fast, but Europe is a bit behind. Outside of the US and China, Canada has the most superchargers, followed by Germany, France, South Korea, and the UK. Interesting that Canada has more superchargers than Germany, despite having half the people. In the US, California has by far the highest number of superchargers, followed by Florida, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania. 35% of all Tesla superchargers are located in the US, and almost the same number in China. But if you look at the number of plugs, that number changes a little bit. The US is higher and China is quite a bit lower. Tesla has added a new Model Y long-range sweepstakes to the referral program. You need 1,000 credits to participate, and the draw will take place in January 2024. Lex Fridman is doing a podcast with Elon Musk soon. There's no specific date, but it should be very soon. He wants us to submit questions that he could ask Elon. So if you have any, go ahead and submit them here. Troy will post his earnings per share calculation publicly on Tuesday, a day before the earnings call. The tensions rise between the automakers and the union. The UAW president says that they thought they figured out the so-called rules of the game, so we changed the rules. They are no longer just adding strikes on Fridays. Now more plans could come at any time, basically. This works in favor of Tesla as it crumbles for GM and Stellantis. Ray says that almost every new energy vehicle maker, hybrid vehicle maker, in China has its own self-developed ADAS system. The pace of progress I've seen in the past 1 to 2 years is nothing short of astonishing. Even some random names like this one here, which I've never heard of, has a decent ADAS system. As the most anticipated technology by many Tesla owners in China, FSD needs to be deployed soon, hopefully after V12 is ready. I think the system getting to a certain level of confidence is not too difficult, but getting past that level where you reach this wall and it just doesn't really get all that much better is extremely difficult. And that's where Tesla's advantage with all of its data and the best engineers really comes in handy. And also don't forget Dojo. There's no one else on this earth who is positioned better than Tesla to solve full self-driving with the vision approach, because they just don't have the fleet of vehicles on the roads. They don't have the data. Ooh, turns out NIO loses $35,000 for every EV it sells. So yeah, maybe they will make up for it by selling $900 smartphones. Maybe if they somehow make 100% profit margin on each $1,000 phone, if they just can somehow convince every car buyer to buy 35 phones of each car, maybe then they will stop losing money. Also, doing all of these battery swaps is not helping. Now, by comparison, Rivian lost $33,000 on every vehicle it sold in the second quarter. And Ford is losing $32,000 with every EV sold. If Tesla did not cut prices earlier, these losses would still be there, but they would not be as huge. So this seriously put a lot of pressure on them. There's a report that electric vehicle sales now accounted for 7.9% of total industry sales in the US in Q3. Based on that same Cox Automotive report, Tesla's market share went down from 62% in Q1 to now 50% in Q3. That is natural and expected, and we wouldn't even want Tesla to be over 50% in the long term, because Tesla could be accused of monopolistic practices. The number that really matters is, did Tesla sell more cars? Yes, Tesla sold more cars. That's the only thing that really matters. It doesn't really matter what is Tesla's market share. And look at this article that Rob Maurer from Tesla Daily reported on. Volkswagen's AG's new orders for its electric vehicles failed to meet the company's targets in the third quarter. Our order intake is below our ambitious targets due to the lower than expected overall market trend. So not are they only dealing with production challenges, they're also dealing with demand challenges. So despite Volkswagen being able to copy and imitate Tesla, because I mean they are not really that innovative, so they just look at what other people are doing and then they're like, okay, we're gonna do that. Despite that, they are still struggling. By the time someone copies Tesla, Tesla is already doing other things. Remember this Tesla vehicle that was running away from people with guns? We now have a full account of that story. The terrorists recognized me from a distance of 10 yards. In addition to their Kalashnikovs, they had a machine gun that fired bullets of a larger caliber. They did not realize that it was an EV. So maybe it's a good thing that Tesla is not advertising. So they shot at the front, hoping to hit the engine that wasn't there, and at the back trying to set the fuel tank on fire. Of course, there was no fuel tank. They shot my tires, I pressed the accelerator, and they started chasing me. In this battle, it was a Toyota truck against one driver in a private car, but it was also a chase between a diesel truck with about 150 horsepower against an electric sedan with more than 500, and it was an all-wheel drive. About 15 well-armed terrorists facing a wounded but determined driver who found himself fighting for his life hundreds of meters from his home. They shot my tires, but the acceleration of the Tesla is amazing even in this situation, and the dual drive managed to keep me on the road. I quickly got away from them, but I realized that I had to get to the hospital as soon as possible, and I drove at a speed of 112 miles per hour with flat tires. The tires started to crumble, but the dual drive balanced out the wheels, some of which were already on the rims. Yeah, that's... I actually drove a rear-wheel drive Tesla with all-season tires, not winter tires, on snow, and it was alright. It wasn't ideal, but it was pretty good. I would probably take that car instead of a gasoline-powered vehicle that's all-wheel drive with all-season tires. Purposefully, in a parking lot, I tried to lose control of the vehicle with lots of snow and some black ice, and I just couldn't. It would slide a little bit, and then it would just do its own thing, and then I would be in full control of the vehicle again. He also says that there was no part of the Tesla vehicle that was not shot, and yet the car just kept driving. Yeah, the car looks pretty bad, so no wonder why many police officers really like the idea of Teslas. It's really not looking great for Ford. Ford's Lightning production woes may have hit another hurdle. The automaker revealed plans Friday to temporarily trim one of the 3 shifts at its Rogue EV plant in Michigan where the F-150 Lightning is built. Ford said the move would occur on Monday, affecting around 700 jobs. The American automaker claimed the cuts were unrelated to the UAW strike. That's interesting that they would say that specifically. If it's true, it's really bad for Ford. And the union leader wrote in a memo earlier this week, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that our sales for the Lightning have tanked. Ford said it was due to supply chain issues, and the Wall Street Journal reported today that Ford was considering canceling a shift, citing slowing demand, and indicated that the company was looking to build more gasoline-powered trucks instead. Does that sound to you like a company that has a bright future ahead? A company that focuses on building products that in the future, in a relatively near future, really, if you really think about it, these products will be obsolete. 100% of their focus should pretty much be just on EVs if they want to survive in the long term. And the gas-powered car business should be an afterthought, really. I mean, it still makes money, so that's good for them. Keep doing it, but it should be more of an afterthought, really. In the meantime, BYD is actually working on its own electric pickup truck, and it is expected to hit the streets by the end of the year. If it ends up selling more than the F-150 Lightning, it will be such an embarrassment to Ford. And yesterday, I posted an exclusive video just for my Patreon supporters. I received pretty good feedback on that one. I was a bit surprised, actually. There's only one other video where I received so much feedback, so if you are a Patreon supporter of mine, make sure to watch that one. And I will post another video exclusively on Patreon later today. By joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching that discussion about the future with Elon Musk, watch this one first. My name is Matt Potius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.